everybody. My name is Nyemade Boiwu, and I am the Chief Content Officer for AllGo. We are a review app with plus-size people in mind. We're for people of size and those who love us. Speaking of love, I am so excited to bring you another love story this week. I have Chrissy and her husband, Ray. Thank you both so much for joining.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
Well, I'm so excited to share your love story with everybody. So to start off, how did you two meet?
Oh, heavens. So, I guess I'll take the lead on this one. I was just unfortunately ending my first and only divorce. And not that I was looking for anything, but I was more so on Instagram looking for friends. And came across this one and sent him a message saying that he looked nice. There's an ongoing controversy with that because he says, no, you told me I looked nice. And
that's what you just said.
Well, yes, no, but I mean, like, you took it as, hey.
Like you were shooting your shot.
There. Do what?
Like he took it as you were shooting your shot, like you were trying to.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'd never be so brave. But I was just saying he looked like a nice person. And yeah, so anyway, funny story is, again, it was on Instagram. I sent him a message and he was like, oh, you look nice too, but I'm about to delete my Instagram today. And yeah, so that was.
Yeah, I was just kind of done with the whole social media stuff, and I was also kind of in a bad spot relationship wise, and we just kind of started talking.
Yeah, from there, he was like, oh, well, you can go and add me on this. That we both like singing and music, we had found out in the day we talked. And he was like, go add me on, I don't even remember the app.
Yeah, it was some kind of singing app.
It was like when it was like Musically, right? Wasn't it like Musically before?
It was something like Musically, but it wasn't Musically. But he was like, go add me on there. So I was like, okay. So I added him on there, and then eventually we were like, we kind of like talking to each other, just friendly. And he was like, okay, now go add me on Skype. And so
Facebook it was first.
Oh, was it Facebook?
Or both at the same time.
Yeah, either way, I can't remember exactly. But anyway, we started talking, ended up talking every single day, and really liked it because we were both really goofy and didn't mind being
just ourselves.
Yeah, just ourselves. But we're a lot for some people. We're very weird.
Yeah.
In like a goofy, like, don't take us serious most of the time kind of way. And so being that, you may see me on Instagram as like being all pretty and whatever, but I'll sit there and make goofy, awful looking faces. And he was able to do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And still said I looked pretty. And I was like, oh.
Nice. It's always nice when two goofy people can get together. Like when someone gets your weird,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I was to say from there, we talked for
a year.
I think it was a year to over a year. And eventually, because like I said, I just came out of a marriage that I was in for a while. And I kind of had this like, I have one life to live and I'm tired of not getting to do things. I'm going to go and travel the world. And I knew somebody from the Netherlands. Shocking. He's from the Netherlands. And I was like, I've never been to, then I call it Holland, until I was informed that it is not. But I was like, I've never been out of the country. I would love to go over to Europe. I said, if anything else, I'm getting I wasn't looking necessarily for love, really. We were just friends and I just wanted to see the world. And so he's like, yeah, come over here. I'll show you. And it just worked out perfectly that I call it a God thing. Again, because one, he was deleting his Instagram that day and it just so happened that we found each other. But also, I just so happened to have like from school this summer off and I had a little bit of money and a credit card. And I was like, I'm doing it. Let's just go. So I went over there, stayed with him. And again, we had talked for some time now. And I had seen, like videoing with him, his family and everybody else. And I thought, surely this guy is not some weirdo.
I am a weirdo.
Yes, you're a weirdo.
Like a safe weirdo. A safe one.
But I was like, he's not some stalker killer kind of person if his family, is interacting with him and stuff. So I felt pretty confident, even though my grandma, she kept going, it's a scam. She was just like, no, you're going to go there and he's going to end up to be some serial killer or something. But I get there and he's not. And
I was super nervous. I bought a rose and what is it called?
orange juice.
Orange juice, because I was like, she needs something, nice when you get off the plane, you're dehydrated and everything. And I was so nervous, and she just came through the gate, and I was all standing there behind glass, because in Schiphol, our main airport, you can't stand by the luggage. You actually have to stand behind glass. So that was really exciting and nervous. And
at this point, we knew we had an attraction for each other and already liked each other. So he had been teasing me, oh, are you gonna kiss me when you get here?
Because that was gonna be my next question. Because sometimes when you're talking, is it like purely platonic, or had you guys been like flirting and both knew you were thinking romantically when you met?
We definitely were, but we were also realistic in the sense that we were like, how is this gonna work? He more so than me was like, she's an ocean away. And I kept telling him, like, if we really wanted it to, it could.
I was very skeptical first of if it was going to work. And I mean, we were both in college. I had my own place, so that's why I was like, you can come over. I just had a little apartment. And she came over for 2.5 months, which was a huge deal.
That is amazing. Like, you met him for the first time and planned on being there for 2.5. Wow, you are
exactly.
bold. You're bold. I love it.
We were comfortable enough.
But I had my ticket back just so that people don't think like, oh my God, because I was like, if he does turn out to be crazy, I want to be able to leave.
Yeah, right. But we were comfortable enough that we at least knew we were going to have a good time together.
Yeah.
Whether it be as friends or as eventually lovers.
Yeah.
It felt natural. Yeah.
It did, but like as he said when he picked me up, he was shaking so bad.
Yeah,
he was so nervous, and I was like, "Why are you shaking?" He's like, "Well, you're here." Like we had talked for so long; it was such a surreal moment. And he's like giving me stuff, but shaking and hugging me, and I was like, "You're trembling."
Oh, that's so sweet. So then you guys had that like instant chemistry in person that you had started building up online. It wasn't like weird or awkward or anything. I mean, past
not at all.
Initial nerves.
No, I really thought, I don't know, it was gonna be different in person, but it was like we'd known each other to be honest. Yeah. That's why we were like, even now we're like, how long has it been? It feels like forever.
Yeah, it's
in a good way, not in a bad way. Like, oh.
We did have to get used to each other, as in, we obviously took over some things from our previous marriage that we kind of had to work through.
Our previous marriage,
your relationship, previous relationship that we had to work through. On Instagram, it's all happy, joy, but anybody would know a relationship is work. And we had moments that we were like, okay, we're not going to continue because it was really bad sometimes, whether it be cultural or just stubbornness. We're both very stubborn, so we butt heads. But in the end, we love each other, and that's what mattered.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they always say like the ultimate test of a relationship is if you can take a vacation together. So the fact that you guys jumped right into 2 months staying together, like, hey, you make it through that.
We do our best, I was gonna say, because then we're like, we don't have to stress the world around us. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that I guess that has always been shocking to me is my last marriage versus this one. He and I very much work together as a team, doing anything, everything, whether it be just chores around the house or whatever needs to be done. Something as simple as, like putting together, like we put together a bookshelf or something. Anytime we've ever done things like that, it just shocks me how much better he and I are as a team than with my ex.
Oh, yeah. We set our roles and like, you do this, I do that, and then we just do it.
So but we complement each other. I think just in life in general, like one thing is with both of us, we're very creative peoples. I've always done photography for years, as well as now I do social media and marketing and things like that. And he does 3D art,
rendering, modeling, and everything. I work for an architecture firm, making visualizations mostly, but also modeling and everything and drawing.
And they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. They overlap just in that creativity, and we love that. I may not fully understand exactly how he creates the wonderful things he does, but I fully support it because I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. And for me, he's always trying to get me new photography clients. Did just the other day because he's like, she's so good, you have to.
I brag about her all the time for sure.
Oh, and I do. Yeah. We just compliment each other pretty well. And like you were saying also, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. A lot of times we'll have the biggest arguments over the stupidest stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like you said you were gonna put that dish away. You haven't put that dish away for like 10 days. And it just we've had it, we're up to this. And we always look back and we're like, that was so stupid.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. But it's never anything usually that's big. I feel like we went over those hurdles in the beginning of our relationship. We did have some major, like, I was very insecure, of course, because of my size and growing up as I was. He also had some insecurities as well. But again, culturally was more of a issue than I ever realized it was going to be. There's just a lot of different things as far as like how we handle money and stuff, finances, whether we'd bring them together or not. My family had always had joint finances, and he was like, no, you keep it separately. And marriage, why would you get married if you don't have to? And granted, at this point, coming out of one and long after that, I was kind of burnt on marriage. So I was like, I don't need to be married. But when it comes to just wanting to be in the same country as the person you love, you do go, you know what? Okay, I feel like I will marry this guy. Yeah. And if it gets in here sooner,
right.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we married out of love.
Yeah, definitely. But
it definitely was because going, further with the story, I came here for Christmas that same year to the US for the very first time. That was a really nice experience. I came here a couple more times, and the last time I was like, I want to stay. I had luckily very little, as in I didn't own many things and stuff in the Netherlands. I lived with my sister for a while because we helped each other out financially, and it allowed me to save up more to go see her. And the last time I was like, I want to stay. I have all my friends and family in the Netherlands still, but I was like, it's you gotta either she comes to the Netherlands, but we already decided, and I've always wanted to move to an English-speaking country. I have family in Canada. I always thought I'd either end up there or England, but here I am in the US, and we got a lawyer and everything because we wanted to do everything legally, which was a really hard thing to do. It was, nerve-wracking.
Immigration in this country is. I was born in Liberia, so I understand. Like this, people think it's so easy, and it's not. Like no matter what avenue
it's really
you
hard.
go, it's expensive and it's hard.
Yeah. It took a really big toll on us because I couldn't work for a while. I didn't have a license. I couldn't do anything other than sit home. And I'm a gamer, so I played games most of the day while she worked her butt off and going to school. So
sorry, go ahead.
So sometimes she would come home and be like, are you gaming again? Blah, blah, blah. And I completely understood, but it also frustrated me because I was like, I can't help it. I'm not allowed to work, and it's a really big thing that, almost split us up at one point. But in the end, we were like, okay, this is a hurdle. It's not going to be forever. Yeah. I'm still waiting for my permanent green card without conditions. But I'm at least, able to live my life and live our lives and contribute. And that was the biggest thing for me, is I wasn't able to contribute financially, and that was really tough.
I was going to add that I understood that he could not, but it was still so frustrating to be like, I'm working I don't know if I can say
yeah, that's fine.
I'm working my ass off here, and I come home and you're just sitting there, and I'm like, man. And he did often. He would do like all the housework and stuff like that because that's how he could contribute. And he always took care of me, making sure that I was, drinking all my water and different things like that.
Making dinner.
And I appreciated those things, but man, it was hard because I was, I'm mentally spent at the end of the day working and also doing school. And getting home and be like, well, you just relaxed all day.
Yeah, like must be nice. Well, no, I'm glad that you guys were able to work over your hurdles to stay together. You've been together, I know you said almost 4 years. Is it married almost 4 years or together almost 4 years?
Together for 4 years and married for 3.
Oh,
No,
So-
together for 5 years, married for 4.
actually, next month.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, we're
And may the
Star
4th
Wars nerds, so we got married on May the 4th.
Love
And
it.
so May 4th, we will have been married for 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, happy early anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how did the proposal happen?
Oh,
It was kind of a we've talked about it for a long time, getting married and blah blah, taking the step, and you slowly inch towards it. And the last time I was there, we seriously talked about it, and it wasn't as romantic as
it was perfect. Didn't have to be anything.
we had our own apartment, and she came home from work, and I bought flowers, and I went on my one knee and asked her if she wanted to marry me, and she said yes, and that's kind of where it went. And, yeah. So it was, it was very.
We were limited in funds, so but again, to me, I had that before. And I was like, I've been there, done that. It doesn't need all the extras that, when you've never been married the first time, you're like, it has to be this and this and this and this and this.
And that's a very cultural thing as well, I noticed, because I know American weddings usually are very
extravagant
and everything needs to be expensive and crazy. And I can see where that would be fun, but we Dutch are very frugal. So I'm like, also with our wedding rings and stuff, we had some arguments over how much does it need to cost and everything. And I was like, a couple $100 should be enough, right? And she was like, oh, here it's.
I want a sustainable ring, which I win that argument because now my wedding ring has now like opened up in the back.
I agree, but also I didn't have much money, so I was like, I can't spend a couple grand on them, and I wouldn't even if I could, because I think that's silly. Now, eventually, I'd like to get her a nicer ring, but those were just things we had to kind of go over, and we are very down to earth, so I think it worked well, and we got married.
It was a realization for me, realizing that we grow up being fed everything this is what your wedding should be, this is what you deserve, and all that things. And it did mentally make me have to sit and think, like, at the end of the day, as long as I marry the guy, I don't care how much he spent. More than anything he could ever give me, materialistic thing, his love is all I want, and he is more than giving me that. And I realized I didn't need all those extra things. And so it was a minute for me to like humble myself and realize, I don't need those big things. And I wasn't settling, because I eventually, after my temper tantrum, I guess, on a few things, I was like, you know what, really, I've had all that before, and it wasn't like I didn't need that. And
that's what I like about her too. She's very, as you would say, low maintenance in that sense.
Instagram may look like I'm high maintenance. Most of the time, I was just like, most people I think realize I'm not. I may have, a fancy outfit somebody's given me, but my hair is in a bun 9 times out of 10. I like to be comfortable, and I just like,
and that's how I like her most, because it's her.
He's like, just don't put all your makeup on. I like it natural with all your freckles out and everything.
Oh yeah.
I love that. So I know you talked a little bit before about like some of like your insecurities and things that you had to get over with dealing with, or getting into this relationship. And I think that's something a lot of us have to, especially those of us who grow up in plus size or larger bodies. What was that like for you, your dating experience growing up?
I'm assuming you're talking to me.
Yes, I do have questions for you as well, Ray, in regards to that. But we'll start with you, Chrissy.
Growing up, I didn't do a lot of dating. I was kind of the goody two shoes girl, not in the sense of like rich and goody or whatever, but I didn't go party. I didn't do all those things because I was a Christian. And not that Christians don't party, but I was the one that was going to late night weekend church things and stuff like that, like going to Christian concerts. And so I didn't do a lot of partying and whatnot. So I didn't date a lot, actually, until I got, well, I did like at 17, 18, and then I did later on at like 22 or so. And then I married my first, that was the first relationship I had, which was ended up being a marriage. And so, but insecurity wise, I was never comfortable around people because I wasn't comfortable in my own body. And I never felt pretty. I almost felt like I was like a tomboy because I didn't have a lot of clothes selections, to be very honest. Everywhere that everybody else shopped that was my age, I couldn't fit into things, because I grew up being plus size. And so, of course, I felt insecure. I wasn't looking like the rest of the people around me, which at that age, you're very vulnerable and you want to look like everybody else. Yeah. And so sometimes I look back and I'm like, well, even to this day, less now, but more in high school, I think I believe I was not included in a lot of things because I was bigger and they thought, well, I don't know if she'll enjoy things or something. I'm like, let me make that choice. Right. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like people thought, oh, well, I won't invite her to a swim party because maybe she won't feel comfortable in a swimsuit, and then I probably wouldn't have, but the point is
you wanted the invite. Yeah.
I wanted the invite. And so like growing up, again, I always felt kind of like a tomboy or something. And I think that's why I almost over compensate these days where I'm like, I'm going to dress up all girly.
Yeah, so that side.
But again, not having all those clothing options that I felt were in my size when I was younger, that were more feminine and fit my body, that complemented it. I would go out in a t-shirt and jeans. That was my go-to because those are what fit. So as I grew up, and honestly, it was when I found it was later in life. I think I was like 26, 27, as when I found Instagram and saw these plus size women who are owning their bodies, finding these inclusive brands that I thought, oh my gosh, if they could do it, I could do it. And I can I can finally personalize my own style because I'd never had a style. I never even thought about it. Again, clothing was just something, if it fits it, I'll wear it. And so now I was able to do so. But insecurities as far as dating, sorry, let me get back on track. I never felt comfortable in my own body, so I didn't really push myself out there to really date. And yeah, and the few that did show interest in me, they one, it made me see myself in a different light. I was like, oh, I am worthy of somebody thinking that I'm beautiful, as sad as that sounds. But yeah, I think at that age most of us find it in like our worth and how other people are viewing us. And so yeah.
No, that makes total sense. And I'm glad that you're able to find that eventually from dating others, but then eventually find it within yourself, right?
Exactly.
That sense of security in yourself. Yeah. And then Ray, for you, like, have you always do you have a preference and a type? Have you always dated plus size, or do you go back and forth?
Mostly plus size. From when I was pretty young, I was always interested in plus size ladies. I just like the female body, and I just like the curviness, and yeah, I've always been interested in that. I've had a few smaller girlfriends, but mostly plus size, yes.
Now, what is that like? Because I even here in America, a lot of times we find guys who do like plus size don't want to talk about it, don't want like their friends to know, they're afraid they'll get teased, and so like we end up being like the girlfriend on the DL or behind closed doors. And then when I think about Europe, I think they're even more particular about being slim, like really more particular about being slim. So what was that like? A date, like did it impact you, like were you worried your family and friends would think anything about you dating larger women?
So I do remember like one of my girlfriends there, her sister was like, oh, he likes bigger women, oh, I hope he's not a feeder or a weirdo or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I just like a larger woman. And I was definitely the only one in my circle of friends and stuff that liked larger women. I met very little, people that liked larger women or larger people, guys or girls.
Yeah.
Because they can be both. And my parents or my family sometimes was like, it's unhealthy and everything, and that you need to encourage them to lose weight and all those things. And I was like, okay, that's one thing, but if they feel good as they are, and there's nothing bad going on with them, why would I do that? And why does everybody need to be the same? Why does everybody need to be skinny? And why, some people like people with a lot of tattoos or piercings and whatever. And, just to be those can cause issues. Why is that okay? And why is somebody being plus size not okay? And, of course, there's too much of anything is bad. That's not good. But I did always have to. I was always very open about it because I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care, what other people think. That's what I like, and I'm proud to show Chrissy off to the world. And everywhere I go, I'm like, this is my wife, and I love her, and I show her off, and I have her as my background on my phone, and that's how I've always been. Because it's just like anybody else. Everybody deserves to be who they are, and in this case, a plus size woman is not anything less than a skinny woman or a tall or a short or whoever. Pink. If somebody wants to be pink, okay, I'll be pink. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's. I don't. I think that's the. Talking about social media, that's the downside of it. People are so focused on putting people in, different boxes.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. It's one white person is not the same other white person. One black person is not the other black person. One Asian person is not the other. It's everybody is different. We're all human beings. In the end, we're all flesh and blood, and everybody deserves to have space on this earth. As long as you're not bothering anybody, I don't see why. And that's my mantra, so to say. Leave people alone. Leave them be, who they want to be. And it's we live in America here, but I'm afraid of what's happening nowadays. With all the things that are being out, spoken out. You can't do this. You can't do that. Blah blah blah. Why? It's. We should all be, ourselves and accept each other as we are, within reason, of course. There's always things that shouldn't.
No, I totally. Oh, sorry,
yes.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say I totally understand. It's my mantra too. I'm always like as long as you're not hurting anyone, I truly don't care what anyone does.
Exactly.
I always say, do you, boo? If you're not hurting anyone, whatever. Do your thing. So I love that you have that attitude as well. Because people should be accepting.
I was to counter off I went on a huge rant on Instagram actually one day because I was like, so many people were like, oh, he likes a bigger woman, he's a feeder. And I was like, why is that any different than a preference of you prefer a skinny girl or you prefer a girl with a big butt? What's the difference? He can like whatever he wants, and it doesn't mean that he is a feeder. It just means that he likes he likes more of me.
it's just a stigma that comes with, in this case, liking a plus size person, because it always has. Oh, it's a fetish. Why would it have to be a fetish? Because if she were skinny, nobody would bat an eye.
Exactly.
And that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no, indeed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Anything outside of the norm, people want to, like you said, label it, put it in a box, see why it's a problem. It's just people just have preferences. It's okay to just have a preference. And if you love someone for the person they are, then that's what should matter the most.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you guys were dating, how has that experience been? Because, as I mentioned before, we're an app that reviews different locations and things for plus size bodies, because sometimes it's hard, does the restaurant have seating that fits? Is everything accessible? What are the stairs like? How is the dating experience like for you as far as accessibility to places?
So one big thing was, no pun intended, when she went to the Netherlands, the Netherlands, everything is definitely less catered towards larger people. There are less larger people. And, going to a restaurant, they have, armrests and
They
everything
had
on
chairs that were the smaller chairs, because the majority of those in Europe are smaller. And they had, the armrests on the chairs. My big booty, my hips do not want to fit in those.
Yeah.
And so literally we're wanting to just have a sandwich or have a drink, outside underneath all these, like, they have just rows and rows in their city centers of cafes, lining them, and they have the outdoor chairs. And every single one of them had the armrest. And I was like, where can a plus size person even sit?
Yeah.
I was so angry about it. I was like, why don't they have, if you want to have chairs that have those, but also have chairs that do not, so that everybody can be comfortable. And I was a little bit upset with it, because I was just like, that's so rude. And even then I come back to America, and even still here, I'm finding the same things. Doctors' offices I'll go into. One particular is my gynecology office. They only have, and I'm like, women get bigger when they're pregnant. Why would you not also, make your fit? But it's irritating, because I'm like, anywhere I go, I'm like, be more inclusive. Not everybody is his size.
It's kind of weird, because you're putting down a chair or a seating, and it's like, okay, you can only sit here if you're this size. Even if you're not plus size, if you're disabled, if you have,
exactly.
something around your waist that you need to wear because, I don't know, you have some issue with your heart, or I don't know, you can't sit there. It's just, it's been a struggle sometimes to, I mean, my family's always been very inclusive about it. They've always
No, they've never
catered
made me
towards
feel...
her, be like, are you comfortable? We can get you another chair, blah, blah. They don't mind.
Sometimes embarrassing to me if we have to go to a restaurant. Like, there are a couple of places here in town that only have booths. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes that booth does not allow me room for my belly and stuff. And so I'm like, I'll get a little bit embarrassed. These days I just completely avoid it, because I'm like, most of the time it's not going to fit.
If you can scoot the table over, then I will just pull it towards me, and then it will usually be fine. But
but I hate that has to happen. And I'm like, why not offer enough space, for a larger person?
Again, you're gonna have inclusive. Yeah. No, we absolutely agree. And it's so funny that we're talking about chairs, because I have one of our, you can't really see it, but I have one of our A Seat for All of Us shirts on today. So it's so funny that we're talking. It's so funny that we're specifically talking about shirts and about seats, because that's one of the reasons why we started, because we need a seat for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you've still been able to find fun, love things to do. So something that I like to ask everybody, not to start any beef between the two of you, but if you had to say what your partner's biggest pet peeve about you is, what do you think they would say?
I'll start out. I think she would be that I'm impatient. I know this, and I think that would be what she would say.
That's a good one. It was better than what I was thinking.
As you see, we have, and that's fine. Nobody is perfect, and what?
I don't even know what I was thinking. Just like, I wasn't thinking anywhere that, but I mean that's 99% of the time. Yeah, I'm like, just calm down. Wait a second. You would probably have me. I want to say this, but it's embarrassing. Not to sleep all day.
You love to sleep, yeah.
I could sleep in. It's just, no.
It's just sometimes I'm at work and it's like 12, and she does work that she can do
any time of the day. So I choose later, because why not?
And somebody was like, "Oh, hey, can we do this and this at that time?" And I'm trying to reach her, and I'm calling her like 20 times, and she doesn't wake up, because she's really hard to wake up. And that's one thing that.
There are many days, though, let's make myself feel better, that I'm up at like 8 and 9 a.m.
There are days. Yes.
Many.
He's like, there are days. Well, it's hard too, like when you're hour shift. I'm a night person, so like my natural clock is later in the day. Like I can you're more likely to catch me up in the middle of the night than waking up with you. Like if it's like a 4 a.m. thing, I'm probably up till 4 rather than like waking up at 4.
But see, when you have the flexibility of your own hours and your own schedule, you don't run on an 8 to 5. You get to do it whatever. Then it's like, why not sleep in a little longer?
Well, I'm glad you guys can sort of work that out. And then like, so what, to bring back to love, what are your top 3 things you love about each other the most?
Oh.
You can start this time.
I thought you were about to, you're like,
oh, I have plenty of things that I could say.
I love how thoughtful he is, that he always goes above and beyond to like, hey, I've been recently staying with my grandma a lot, so you're gonna be at grandma's, let me make dinner, let me take care of all these things. He'll often just bring me cups of water, like I said, because I often don't remember or think to drink, and he'll bring me cups of water and like, here, you need to drink some water. And it's just not just with drinking, and I don't know, you're just always thoughtful, and I love it. Now you go, and we'll go back and forth.
I think I really appreciate her creativity. I think we connect really well in that way. She mentioned before, we complement each other. We always challenge each other creatively and see things from a different way. So,
I was gonna say, I don't know how to say this. Like, I appreciate your ability to be very comfortable and weird around me. Again, I don't know if others will understand that, but just I have never felt, even with my ex, so comfortable to be myself. Also in the bedroom. I tell people this, and it's a sad thing, but with my ex, I used to contort my body like while we're having sex to, appear that my boobs are perkier and blah, 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 and all these things. And he, I almost feel like that's going into my next, I'm gonna skip it and go into my next one. But your ability to make a plus size person who sees herself so flawed feel so absolutely perfect. I'm gonna cry. Just absolutely, not even just, making me feel better. It's you genuinely, when you look at me, you're gonna cry too, love what you see. And everything from how you touch me, how you look at me, how you kiss me, how you appreciate just how I look, and everything just means the world to me. And I've never, like, he always tells me, I wish you could see yourself in my eyes and his own. And I'm like, I wish I could too.
She often will bash herself, and she's like, oh, I don't like, oh, my freckles, oh, this or that, oh, my stretch marks, oh, I don't like this.
I don't ever say anything about the stretch marks. I've accepted those.
Well, sometimes you're like, oh man, I have more or something. And anyway, it's just, I'm like, well, I wish you could see yourself through my eyes.
I sometimes wish too, because there's often, most people wouldn't know this, but I'll look at myself in the mirror some days and I'm like, man, I just look like a boy. And he's like, you're the most feminine. He's like, I don't know how you see that.
I don't know how you see it either. Like, you're so gorgeous, but especially like a boy, I don't see that. But it's different when you're looking at yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes I'll just look in the mirror though, and I'm like, oh. And I mean, I try to share that on Instagram as well, showing people that, some days it's not about everything else. It's just literally, I feel like crap today. Sometimes I think it's how I'm feeling mentally what is manifesting on what I'm seeing. I don't know if I said that right, but hopefully you understand what I mean. So yeah, your ability to do that has always made me, I think that's everybody deserves to feel loved exactly as they are, and you've always made me feel that way.
Good.
I love that.
Comes naturally.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you are able to give me space when I need it, because I think we're both that way, but I'm a little bit more, sometimes there's a day where I just want to put my headphones on, play a computer game, and just be left alone, or she wants to do things and I just want to stay home and bum out, so to say, and I appreciate that she gives me space to do so.
I think that's important. I was gonna say, a lot of times like every weekend, because again, I work at home. So every weekend I'm like, I want to get out of the house. I want to go do this. I want to go see this lake. I want to do blah, blah, blah. And he'll be like, I just want to sit at home because I've been gone all week.
Yeah.
And so
I work in an office from, 8 to 5. So
instead of like begging him anymore, I'm like, okay, I get that you want to stay home, but I'm going to go with my mom, or I'm going to go with my friend, just so that I'm not limited, but also he's able to be a homebody.
We do things together, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Just finding that balance. No, I love that.
Additionally, that, not to like protect you don't need protecting, but he's not your typical gamer that you hear those stories of like people will sit and ignore their spouse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, he'll get up immediately from a game and come cuddle me or something because he thinks I need cuddles.
Well, sometimes I just do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, guys need cuddles too.
Yes. But I was like, he's not the stereotypical gamer that you hear that like ignores and doesn't give attention. I've never had a problem with you gaming and not giving me attention. So
I think that's one thing I want to hook into as well, is because you mentioned, I'm a tomboy, blah, blah, blah. I think that's one thing we complement each other into, because you do have your masculine traits, whereas I have my feminine traits as well. I'm very caring, I'm very soft, and I appreciate that as well, that we can complement each other in that.
Yeah. What do you mean masculine?
Well, I don't know. You're
not afraid to get in the dirt.
Yes, exactly. You're not. You love cars. You're not like, oh no, my nail broke. I would hate that. You're not manly. You're just as I'm a guy, but I'm not. I'm not afraid.
I understand. I understand what you mean. Like, like not as high maintenance. Not that being high maintenance is bad, but like she's more low maintenance, low key. So.
Yeah, no, that's what he said. Though, like, I have my times where I'm like, oh well, mainly it's just because of the brands I work for. I want to make sure that I'm presenting nice.
Of course.
But I was just saying, for the most part, you'll find me like this, just something that's really comfortable. And it took me a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes to get ready for this, where some girls, they're like, I need to be up in like 2 hours to get ready. And I'm like, why? I don't, not that I didn't want to look presentable for you, Nyemade.
No, I totally understand. Well, I've had such a great time chatting with both of you, hearing about your love story. Before I let you go, though, one of the reasons we started this was, like I mentioned earlier, you don't always see people finding love, having love. When you're younger, and it makes it a little bit harder. So like, if you could each go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, like what would you tell them about love in the future and all of that?
I'm thinking.
I would just, for myself, say, because I'm also very insecure now, a lot less because of her. She definitely helped me be less insecure. I would definitely tell myself that I'm worth it, because I always would be, asking my girlfriends, be like, oh, do you still love me? This and that, it would overwhelm them. And I understand that now. I would be too insecure. I would just tell myself, you're worth it. You don't have to be insecure. Just be yourself. And if they don't like you as you are, then just move on and find somebody who does. So that's what I would definitely tell myself. And I think that's a lot of people nowadays. They get skewed, whether it be plus size or skinny or tall, whoever you are. Look at yourself and see the positive traits in yourself, because you're unique. You are you, and you have something to offer because of you, and look at yourself and see the good in you. Don't look at somebody else, what they have to offer, because it's irrelevant. Look at yourself, what you have to offer. And I can see that now, but I couldn't see that then. And because of social media as well, we have such a skewed reality of what we should be, but it's irrelevant what, the pretty girl on Instagram or the pretty guy or the handsome guy on Instagram does. Look at yourself. What do you have to offer And I think a lot of people would be better off with that, including me being younger, but also now.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Mine actually goes quite literally into what yours was to say. Don't compare myself to other people. I have spent years of my life literally, what do you call it? Hammering away, I guess, at every little flaw that I didn't look like somebody else who was getting love or whatever. I think if you're comparing yourself to somebody else and you're in that battle in your mind, honestly, you may not be ready for a relationship. And so I think back then it was, I did compare myself to everybody, but also I didn't, I think back then I thought that I would settle pretty much for anybody's love, honestly, because I was so wanting it. And now I'm like, don't settle, especially just my experience being married before. Don't settle for the first person that loves you and think that, you can't have the best, I guess. Because, like, I don't want to speak illy of my ex. However, he just never loved me in the full capacity that I feel now. Body, mind, soul, spirit, everything. It's worth waiting for. And just don't compare yourself.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, I just love that you're able to find that love for, each other. That's helping to uplift you and make you feel good, because that's what love should do. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming and sharing your love story with us. I love
Thank you as
hearing
well.
Yeah, I loved hearing all about
I love
this.
this whole everything.
Thank you. And thank you to those of you who are watching. There's other love stories, so check them out if you've missed them. Go ahead and subscribe. We're going to keep these coming for you, and a few other series that are coming up this month that I'm looking forward to. So thank you all, and you have a great day.
Yeah, bye.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.